in the year, we have set the ceilings at Kenya shillings. And here I'll talk slowly, Honorable Speaker, if you permit. The budget that we have set in terms of the ceilings is a budget of Kenya shillings 4.188 trillion. Honorable Speaker, out of 4.188 trillion, we have the revenue side, but also the expenditure side. On the revenue side, our number one revenue stream is the ordinary revenue. We have set our ordinary revenue target at 2.94 trillion shillings, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, after that, we have what we call appropriations in aid. That is the monies that government institutions receive when they offer service to the Kenyan people. For example, when you pay university fee in a public institution, that is the monies government institutions are given authority to spend at source. And A&A, Honorable Speaker, we have set A&A at 486 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, the other revenue stream are grants. We are expecting grants of 49 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, if we add the math, then we see that out of what I've enumerated, there is a gap of 703 billion shillings, 0.87. 703.87 billion shillings. Honorable Speaker, that is our deficit. On the expenditure side, Honorable Speaker, there is the, and I hope members, we are together. On the expenditure side, we categorize majorly into three thematic areas. Number one is the executive or national government expenditure. National government expenditure, Honorable Speaker, we have set a ceiling of 2.557 trillion. Honorable Speaker, national government incorporates the executive and the judiciary and parliament, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I see my time is almost up, so let me go to specifics, if this is to alert me. I thought I have 30 minutes, but... you
have 30 seconds.
Yeah?
You have 30 seconds.
Honorable Speaker, I beg, because I had been misinformed, kindly, by your indulgence, 5 minutes, I go to the areas that touches on the real issues. Okay. I thought I had 30 minutes.
Okay. Honorable members, as I indulge the chairman with 5 minutes, remember that you passed a motion that on a debate of this nature, the seconder and all of you contributing are entitled to only 5 minutes each.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll go to specifics. Honorable Speaker, there are very many important things that we've been able to do, and I'll talk fast now. One, out of the threat we have in terms of security, we have enhanced the ceilings of majority of our security organs, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot talk about economic growth when we have security challenges. What, Honorable Speaker, there is 67 billion Kenya shillings. We have allocated 220 billion Kenya shillings into roads, and especially going into completion of ongoing tarmac roads, Honorable Speaker. On agriculture, we have put money for fertilizer subsidy, Honorable Speaker, across all the crops, fertilizer that is crop specific, Honorable Speaker. We have put money for other inputs like BT cotton seed, Honorable Speaker, like sunflower seed and all the others on the value chains that we are targeting. We have also put in a ceiling of Kenya shillings 2 billion into coffee cherry fund, Honorable Speaker, to be able to guarantee coffee farmers prices through guaranteed minimum returns. We have also put in 1 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker, into sugar reforms, Honorable Speaker, to pay the arrears of Kenyan farmers who are owed by factories. We have also enhanced the budget in our health sector to Kenya shillings 151 billion, 4 billion of which we are giving as conditional grants to our counties, and especially to uplift the equipment in our level 1, 2, and 3 in our villages. But here is where I need members now to capture your attention. Honorable Speaker, many times I get these members of parliament coming to my office, and I am always happy, Honorable Speaker, to benefit from the wisdom of my colleagues. And what I'm talking about here is collective wisdom of this House. Out of that collective wisdom, I also want to laud the President, because he has been a member of this Parliament, and majority of the things I'm going to read now are actually majority of it his brainchild. One, Honorable Speaker, we have given Social Security 35 billion so that we facilitate the 70 years and above who got registered last year to also continue or start receiving their stipend. We have enhanced the education budget, and especially TSC budget specifically, by 26.3 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker. And out of the resolution of this House, all our JSS interns, who are 26,000 in number, are going to be confirmed through this BPS to permanent and pensionable. Honorable Speaker, the government will also hire an extra 20,000 interns, Honorable Speaker, to bridge the gap that is there in our learning institutions. Honorable Speaker, this House, for the independence of this House and to accelerate efficient legislative role, we have enhanced the budget of Parliament by 2.8 billion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker. This majority of it, as members know, many people out there may think legislature is us members of Parliament, but we have staff and apparatus. Honorable Speaker, our constituency offices, the Kenyans who work there, have not had an enhancement. Honorable Speaker, out of this BPS, by July, every month, they'll get an enhancement of 131,000 per month on the constituency offices. Honorable Speaker, the same goes to the drivers and the bodyguards. Honorable Speaker, there was 10 billion Kenya shillings that had been taken to shareable revenue in our counties. I gladly now report to this House that money is now back and will be oversighted by these members of Parliament through the Constituency Roads Committee. Honorable Speaker, lastly, NGCDF. We have enhanced NGCDF by an extra 8.8 billion shillings. An average of 30 million per constituency on average, Honorable Speaker, so that we accelerate rural development. Lastly, listen to these members. Out of the guidance of the President, His Excellency William Ruto.
Order. Order.
I'm coming to GAF.
Order, honorable members.
I'm coming there. Honorable Speaker, this is the most important point that I want to make. We have increased. Members have been coming to my office requesting for money for rural electrification. Honorable Speaker, we had a conversation with the President, and we have agreed that REREC is going to get an extra Kenya shillings 12 billion in this BPS.
Give him 2 minutes. Give him 2
Honorable
minutes.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I want to make this as my last point.
Wind up in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I've given you an additional 2 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, this is my last point. I have talked about NGCDF, an enhancement of 8.8 billion. Honorable Speaker, we are already having a conversation, and by the time we table the estimates, even GAF is going to have an enhancement, Honorable Speaker. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, listen to this. We have had a conversation with the President, and through the wisdom of this House, majority of the members, when they come to my office, they request if we can get an enhancement in our rural electrification. Honorable Speaker, out of that, we have enhanced the ceiling of REREC by Kenya shillings 12 billion, Honorable Speaker, out of which REREC already had another budget of 9 billion. Honorable Speaker, out of that, 14.5 billion Kenya shillings is going to be equally divided among all the 290 constituencies. Because the President is very clear-minded that the programs that get oversight from these members, that is what gets done. Honorable Speaker, I seek to move.
Who is seconding? Order. Who is seconding?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. As the way we work in terms of this Parliament, our departmental committees do a lot, and I seek to request one of the departmental chairs, Honorable KJ, to second this motion.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you. And I want to take this very early opportunity as I second.
Order, honorable members. Order, Honorable Kemei is out of order to picket in the House. Go on, KJ.
Thank you for the protection, Mr. Speaker. And I want to take this very early opportunity as I second to congratulate the very esteemed Budget and Appropriations Committee for banning the midnight oil and being able to deliver this budget policy statement report on time. Honorable Speaker, I shall also take the opportunity to congratulate the very able chairperson of the committee, the honorable member for Kiharo constituency, the Honorable NDINDI NYORO. Mr. Speaker, as committees were going through the process of budget policy statement, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members, order DK. You can wait and congratulate your colleague out there in the garden. Don't disrupt the business of the House. Go on, KJ.
Honorable Speaker, we were able to make very serious observations as we were going through the process of the budget policy statement. And one key issue that we noted, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that even if on paper we agreed that we are working on a zero-based budget regime, we noted that we still have a situation where we are budgeting using traditional and historical allocations, Mr. Speaker, to an extent that there are sectors that end up suffering because traditionally they have not been very big sectors at the expense of the sectors that have always been dominant sectors, the very infrastructure heavy, capital intensive sectors like roads, education, health, and all these other big sectors. But Mr. Speaker, the big take home for this BPS is the fact that this House has finally found its footing in the process of budget making, that this House is taking the very serious business of budgeting back to where it belongs, which is the floor of this House. Mr. Speaker, over the years, there have been people who have attempted to overtake or usurp the responsibility of budgeting to themselves. And the culprits, Mr. Speaker, are known. The very infamous treasury mandarins have been known to interrupt the budgeting process. But this year, Mr. Speaker, with the process that we have undertaken, we are truly taking our place as the budgeting house. Mr. Speaker, I'd finally like to add this to this point, that with a 4.1 trillion Kenya shilling budget, that we are funding to the tune of 2.9 trillion from regular revenue, it means then that we are a country that is serious on living within its means. We are not here as Parliament trying to budget in the way that we have seen even some counties trying to budget, where they overproject on the revenues that are not achievable, and they end up underscoring on the performance targets on the budget. So, Mr. Speaker, because the excitement is high, these members have seen the money they have put in for their electricity, for their schools, for the women and the youth in their constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I will not take any more time to dilute the excitement other than to congratulate the very able Member of Parliament from Kiharo, the Honorable Samson NDINDI NYORO, and his very hard-working committee of the Budgets and Appropriation Committee. And Mr. Speaker, I second.
Order. Order, Honorable Sirma. Take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the Budget Policy Statement BPS for the financial year 2024-2025 and a compendium of departmental committee reports on the 2024 BPS laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 5th March 2024, and pursuant to the provision of Section 50, 25(7) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and Standing Order 2329 and 10, A, approves the Budget Policy Statement, BPS, for the financial year 2024-25. B, makes the following financial resolutions with respect to the BPS. 1, that the national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,564,563,100,000, of which 1, executive 2,488,650,300,000, of which Office of the Auditor General 8,599,500,000, Parliament 43,623,000,000, Judiciary 23,690,300,000. 2, resolved that the allocation to county government equitable share be approved at 391,117,000,000. 3, resolves that consistent with the latest audited and approved revenues for the financial year 2020-2021, amounting to Kenya shillings 1,570,562,945,014 shillings, the allocation to the equitable fund be set at Kenya shillings 7,814,725. 4, approves that the arrears to the equalization fund be set at Kenya shillings 3,547,185,275. 5, approves that the allocation for the county additional allocations be approved at Kenya shillings 48,196,590,924 as by the third schedule, which shall form the basis for the county government additional allocations bill 2024. 6, resolves that consistent with the approved borrowing strategy in the medium-term debt management strategy, the projected fiscal deficit be set at Kenya shillings 703,870,000,000, that is 3.9% of GDP, being the difference between the total revenues and grants and total expenditure and net lending. C, that the first and second schedules form the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2024-2025 budget estimates. D, that once approved by the House, this recommendation shall form the basis for financial year 2024-25 budget estimates. E, orders that the first schedule to the order paper forms the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2024-25 budget estimates. And F, makes the policy resolutions contained in the second schedule to the order paper non-financial recommendations relating to the budget policy statement for the financial year 2024-25. Joseph McClap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a reason to smile and say the report of the BPS actually meets the expectations of Kenyans. 1.5 billion meant for rural electrification, divided by 290 constituencies. Being a student of double mathematics, that takes every constituency on equal terms at 50 million per constituency. Mr. Speaker, if this will continue for the next 3 years, Mr. Speaker, it will change the percentage of power distribution in our country, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker, it is only necessary that REREC need now to put the money that will equate to, because not all constituencies have the same distribution network of power. Mr. Speaker, it means there is an equitable share of 14.5, and then the other monies now can be added so that other constituencies that have challenges can be actually be supported at equal measure, so that we bring up Kenya in all directions equitably for the people of Kenya to enjoy power. Mr. Speaker, the other important thing that we were debating in the morning, the chairman of the budget has raised a substantial issue that will bring development in Kenya, the promotion of growing of cotton in parts of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, will give us an opportunity to create employment. And even in the value chain of the cotton industry, Mr. Speaker, that is the plan of Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker. And if we encourage the growing of cotton throughout the Republic, Mr. Speaker, then we shall be able to have fabric made from Kenya, and we can be able to put on what is made from Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the other part that is very important, Mr. Speaker, that has been raised by the chairman of the budget is the bringing back of about 10 billion shillings to Kera, so that it will be able to go to our constituencies, money that has been encroached by the governors for a period of time. Mr. Speaker, this will change the road network in our country, Mr. Speaker, because when the roads that are visible today in Kenya are the ones done by Kera, not done by the county government, Mr. Speaker. So the bringing back of 10 billion makes sense to this House and makes sense in the development of the road network in our constituency, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of the intern, Mr. Speaker, confirmation of intern without going further through an interview, Mr. Speaker, is actually changing the lives of about 56,000 teachers that were employed, Mr. Speaker. And an additional 20,000 teachers are going to be employed, Mr. Speaker. Those are the people who actually meet with the rubber every day. They are in the villages. That money that will be paid to teachers will actually be the money that will go to our communities, Mr. Speaker, and creating of 20,000 people for employment, Mr. Speaker, means we are changing lives for Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even the reduction of the fiscal deficit, Mr. Speaker, to 703, Mr. Speaker, is the way to go. We should continue to reduce the fiscal deficit in our country so that we cannot continue to have huge debts, public debt, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the BPS, Mr. Speaker, gives us an opportunity as Parliament to approve a budget that will be able to distribute resources throughout the Republic of Kenya in the most fairest manner, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, some of the programs that the chairman has also highlighted, Mr. Speaker, are actually pro-people, pro-poor, Mr. Speaker. And that is what we want to bring up the rural economies, and we'll be able to get, when you develop the rural economies, Mr. Speaker, through production, you will get more revenue into our economy, and this country will be able to grow economically, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these programs, Mr. Speaker, including, according to the details, including giving money to the modernization of police equipment, Mr. Speaker, so that we have effective and efficient security system that will be able to stem out the spread of criminal network in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and we will be able to have a country that is free from gangsters and bandits who actually terrorize innocent citizens and be able to grow our economy, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support and say the chairman of the budget is equal to task. He needs a further promotion.
Christopher Aseka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the budget policy statement 2024. This statement is written in accordance to section 25(2) of the Public Finance and Management Act of 2012. BBS lays government priorities and strategies It helps to set ceilings, expenditure ceilings by every vote. And looking at this budget policy statement, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that Treasury has really worked well to ensure that the deficit on the 2024-2025 budget is reduced from 886 billion to 703. But as we laud Treasury in this endeavor, we should also ask ourselves, Honorable Speaker, if the overprojection of revenue collection by Treasury will hinder the implementation of this budget. Mr. Speaker, if Treasury doesn't collect the 2.5 trillion in ordinary revenue, it means the deficit on this budget will increase. It also means, Mr. Speaker, that some programs and projects within the budget will be affected. But on good side, Mr. Speaker, I want also to laud this budget policy statement. As the chairman of Budget and Appropriation Committee has put it, ensuring equity and equality within the nation is the way to go. Having an equal amount of money to ensure that all areas within the Republic of Kenya are connected to the power is one thing that we should laud. Mr. Speaker, having money in this budget to ensure that our interns, whom we were employed some 2 or 3 years ago, are employed on a permanent and a pensionable basis is another thing that we should laud. Mr. Speaker, also having more money to Parliament to enhance capacity building for members of Parliament, to ensure that there's money for Senate oversight, and ensuring, Mr. Speaker, that Parliament does not operate in a way that is being undermined by executive is also another way, Mr. Speaker, to go. But as we look at this, Mr. Speaker, we must also look at the credibility part of the budget and ensure that this budget is credible, it is implementable, and something that the Treasury has not come out clear on this budget policy statement is how it's going to manage the pending bills. But, Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Thank you, Seka. Geoffrey Mwangi from Tetu.
Thank you.